Welcome to the course unit Tourist Activities Organization at the Kyrgyz Economic University named after Musa Turusbekov. We will study this course unit during the semesters 3 and 4. The aim of the course unit is we will learn about definitions, categories, and special forms of tourism, legislation for tourism, special forms of tourism in the modern world, different types of tourists, different tourist activities, as well as much more comes. Unit 1, Theme 1. This is introduction to the lecture 1, where we will study about the history of tourism, about the taxonomy, about the dichotomy, the technical definitions of tourism. And Unit 1, Theme 2, it is tourism industry, where we will study about definitions, categories, and also it comes with vocabulary drills and as well as practical exercises. Theme 3, special forms of tourism in the modern world. Vocabulary drills again and practical exercises also. Also, we will study about defining disaster tourism, travel safety, visa issues, and cross-border and custom controls. Theme 4, special forms of tourism in the modern world. This is continued about the safety service and emergencies. Also comes with the vocabulary drills and practical exercises. Theme 5, this is culture tourism. We will learn about the uniqueness of Norway and Kyrgyz Republic, manners and level of formalities. How may the cultural and language differences influence travel, vocabulary drills, practical exercises. Theme number 6, defining ecotourism, involved travels to natural destinations, minimizes impacts, builds environmental awareness, and also comes with a lot of vocabulary drills and also practical exercises. Theme number 7, defining medical tourism, travel and healthcare, travel insurance, vocabulary drills, and practical exercises. Let's go back to the lecture 1, where the introduction to the subject, where we will study about dichotomy and taxonomy of tourism and the technical definitions of tourism. What is tourism? Tourism was defined by the League of Nations in 1937, people traveling abroad for the periods over 24 hours. Unit 1, Theme 1, and this is about the history of the tourism. When did the history of tourism begin? Tourism has been such a growth and spread over recent decades that it's now so widespread and ubiquitous. There are scarcely people left in the world who wouldn't recognize a tourist immediately. This citation belongs to Cohen in 1974. When did the history of tourism begin? However, tourism remains as a term that is subject to diverse interpretations with definitions and descriptions proposed in the literature. It reflects in part the multidisciplinary nature of the topic and in part the abstract nature of concept of tourism itself. To complicate matters further, there is no single definition of tourist and tourism. The League of Nations introduced and produced the first terms of tourist and tourism in 1937, as I mentioned before. In 1800s, Samuel Pega wrote in a book on the New English usage that simply a traveler is nowadays called a tourist, although there is some debate as to when the word tourism was used first. Some attribute the origin of the term to Stendhal in the early 1800s, whilst others suggest different number of sources and dates. This is fever in 1985 and Theobald in 1994. A diverse array of definitions and taxonomies, as well as dichotomy. Nevertheless, there now exists an array of definitions and taxonomies of tourists, many of which are ethic, being structured to the specific opinion of the researcher. Despite these difficulties, however, there now exists a diverse array of definitions and taxonomies of tourists, many of which are ethic and being structured according to the specific perspective of the researcher. And however, it is important to establish a working definitions of tourism as the activities or process that allegedly acts as the catalyst of the development. At the starting point, the Chambers English Dictionary refers to tourism as the activities of tourists and those who cater for them, that reflecting dichotomy between the tourism as a social industry and tourism as an industry that enables and facilitates participation in that activity. Technical definitions of tourism. In a similar vein, in 1981, Buchart and Medlick identify the two main categories or groups or characteristics of tourism definitions. This was the first one, technical definitions of tourism. The second one was conceptual definitions of tourism. Let's talk about the technical definitions of tourism. Technical definitions of tourism attempt to identify the different types of tourists and different tourism activities, normally for statistical and legislative purposes. In 1937, the League of Nations proposed the term tourism and tourist as the official terms, where tourism was defined as people traveling abroad for the periods over 24 hours, and tourist as someone who travels 24 hours or more outside of their usual country of residence, and also introduced an excursionist as someone who stays in a destination for less than 24 hours. In 1963, the United Nations Conference on Travel and Tourism produced and proposed the term visitor, which was sorted into more general description of this term. It stated that a visitor is any person who is visiting another country other than that in which he has his usual place of residence or she has her place of usual residence for any other reason following the occupation remunerated from within the country visited. A visitor being either tourist staying overnight or excursionist on a day visit. This remains basis of definitions of tourism adopted by the World Tourism Organization. It is used primarily for quantitative or quantitative measurement of tourist traffic. As I said, in each theme we will make progress check. This helps to reinforce this theoretical knowledge. Now my questions to this theme 1. Who is a tourist? Who is an excursionist? Who is a traveler and tourist? Who is a visitor? What is tourism? When did the tourism history begin? Are you able to answer these questions? Or you can also comment on that using the other different sources of information and dates. Thank you very much for your attention. This is the end of first lecture or theme 1, unit 1.